When you're working with sampled audio, the chances are slim that all your samples you're going to use are going to be the same exact tempo. In this movie, we'll look at 2 ways to deal with this situation. Here's a little nice 8-bar arrangement, but it needs some drums. Over in our file browsers, we have the groove bin we've been working with. This has some sounds in it. Let's take a listen to the hip-hop beat 2-bar. Cool, those are some nice drums. Obviously, as a sample, it comes off an old record. You can hear the scratchiness. I'm going to add it to our arrangement. I'm going to just click and drag it and add it right in here at bar 3. So let's take a listen and see if this works with our song. I can close the browser. Whoa, that sounds like some kind of train wreck, right? Clearly there's something wrong, and my hunch is that this region is the wrong tempo for our song. Again, the chances are slim that all your samples are just going to match right up perfectly. Now remember, all of our regions in this song are Apple loops. You can see the double loop-to-loop there in the audio of upright electric piano, a mono loop in the upright funk bass, and then we have our thumpy hip-hop, and that's MIDI. So all of those other regions in our song can conform and flex to any tempo we put it at. This hip-hop beat is just a straight-up old audio file. It's a .wav file. So that doesn't have the capability to just seamlessly stretch to our project tempo, which is 100 BPM. But there are a couple ways we can deal with this. We want to make sure the region is still selected, and we're going to go up to the Edit menu here, the local Edit menu, and we're going to choose Tempo. And here we have the Adjust Tempo using region length and locators. Really what happens here is Logic looks at your region, and then it looks at some locators you've set and decides to adjust the tempo to those. We haven't set those locators, so I'm going to go back out, and I know this is a 2-bar region. I just don't know what the tempo is. But if I went and made some locators stretch from bar 3 to bar 5, so I just clicked up in there and dragged, that's a 2-bar locator. And you can see, if I zoom in, that the 2-bar hip-hop beat 2-bar is a little longer than these 2 bars, so clearly it doesn't match the tempo of our song. But what we need to do is set a 2-bar locators, and we want to keep our region selected. Now I'm able to go back to that Edit menu, under Tempo, adjust tempo using region length and locators. So Logic, again, looks at our region, looks at our locator we've set, and will adjust accordingly. So it says, okay, I can see that these 2 have different tempos. Do you want to adjust the project globally? And we actually do. Let's try that first. So when I click globally, all of a sudden you noticed our region snuck in to fit in between the bars. Again, I just want to point out the region did not shrink. What happened was the underlying grid shrunk because now our BPM has been changed to 90. So that solves our riddle. We now know that this hip-hop beat 2-bar is a 90 BPM region. And what Logic did is it just made our global project 90 BPM. So again, these other regions are able to seamlessly change to different tempos, so everything should sound on beat here. Let's listen. So you can hear it does work, but to me that sounds a little slow. I actually liked this song at 100 BPM. So what are our other options? Let's return to 100 BPM. I'm just going to double click up in here, type 100, and now you see our hip-hop 2-bar no longer fits within the 2 bars. It's once again out of time. But I'm going to keep it selected. And the other thing we can do is to go up to the Edit menu again, and instead of tempo, I'm going to go now to time stretch. And this is another way to change our region to match our song, only we're not going to change the global tempo. We're actually just going to stretch our region to match our 100 BPM tempo. So again, Logic's looking at the region, it's looking at the locators, and it's going to say, okay, let's time stretch your region to match these locators. So click that, it does its thing, and it's non-destructive in that it made a new file. So you notice this is now called hip-hop beat 2bar.1. So it didn't overwrite or destroy that old 90 BPM file. What it did was it made a new file, and this file has been time stretched, and it should now match our project at 100 BPM. And because that was such a minor stretching of time, we don't hear any bad artifacting at all. It actually worked really fast, and it was a quick way to conform our region to our project tempo that we liked, which was 100 BPM. Now I just want to go out to the Finder for 1 second and show you we're in exercise 604. And in here is that new audio file. So it did create a new file with a .1 on it, just so you know it made a new file with the new stretching. Now, I just want to make a note here that this is a little different than using Logic's real-time flex time or Apple loops to conform a region to a new tempo. In some later movies in this course, we're going to go over a real-time way to change a tempo of a region called flex time, and that's a non-destructive technique. And also, Apple loops, as we've seen, can seamlessly conform in real time. But in this process, we actually did write a new file and time stretch it. Again, this is all just whatever workflow works best for you. In this case, this happened to work really well. We don't hear any artifacting. It was a good, quick way to conform our region to the project tempo.